get a little bit of Purell. Okay, that escalated quickly. Oh, help me. I'm starting to get a little depressed. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I have an unboxing video for you. What are we unboxing? Some books. I just don't happen to know which ones. I may have done something kind of random that some of you may think is a little crazy. There are a lot of sellers on eBay that will sell you book lots, which are basically 10, 20, etc. Books in one box. And I purchased a lot of 20 mystery thriller suspense hardcovers for $20. These are all used books, but they're guaranteed to be in fair or better condition, and they're guaranteed to all have their dust jackets. This is the box. It is an incredibly heavy box. Thumbnail. And I have absolutely no idea what is in it. So I'm going to open it and we're going to discover its contents together. I'm really excited. I don't feel like there's a lot of risk involved. I basically paid $1 per book. I've been sitting here for 2 weeks waiting very impatiently for it to get here. I don't know. It could be books that I've heard of, books I've never heard of, books I already own, books I would never, ever want to read. My next Claim My Unhaul video might be huge thanks to this box of books. I have absolutely no idea what I'm in store for. So, I have my trusty little scissors here. Let's open this sucker up without hurting ourselves and see what is inside. I gotta turn it around. Oh! I have it open. I'm not looking inside. I'm just opening the flaps. There's going to be one flap that's like going to give me all kinds of trouble. Okay. No packaging, no bubble wrap, no extra paper, nothing, just books. So let's see what we have. Okay. First is a book that is not my taste whatsoever, but hey, you know, this is an adventure. It is The Marines of Autumn by James Brady. It is a novel of the Korean War. Kurt Vonnegut says, the Korean War now has its own Iliad, historically precise and harrowingly poetic. I've never heard of James Brady. I have heard of the Korean War. But basically, I don't even know if it's technically a thriller. I feel like this is a novel. I feel like this is a historical fiction novel that just happens to, based on its context, read or at least qualify in the seller's eyes as a thriller. But we're not off to a great start. Just throw that one down on the floor. Next. Kathleen O'Neill Gear and W. Michael Gear, Bonewalker, whatever. Praise for the Summoning God. This is not even the first one in the... Okay, so here's the cover. Bonewalker. In the shattered Anasazi world, War Chief Browser and his second, Katkin, are horrified when a messenger is murdered before divulging a secret concerning poor Singer's prophecy. With his entire world in peril, Browser must determine who could want the young warrior dead, but whom can he trust? The matron Bluecorn or her conniving war chief? With the narrative going from the present to the 13th century, The Summoning God is an exciting read, rich in mystery and history. So basically this is it could be a standalone, but it's not the first book in a series of books. It has praise on the back of the book for the second novel, which is not this one. So this is at least the third or later. Again, totally uninterested in this book. Oh boy. Next we have the book Feedback. This is by Robison Wells. This is a sequel, it says, to the book Variant. So already not cool. Unless by some miracle the book Variant is also in here. This sounds like this was published by Harper Teen, so this is a young adult thriller. Sequel to a young adult thriller. In Like Flynn, a Molly Murphy mystery by Rice Bowen. Anthony and Agatha Award winner. Here's the cover, if I forget to. In Like Flynn. Again, historical. Fledgling private investigator Molly Murphy's latest assignment gives her the opportunity to escape the typhoid epidemic sweeping across New York City in the summer of 1902 for the lush Hudson River Valley. And it comes from an unlikely source, Captain Daniel Sullivan, a New York City police detective, an erstwhile beau of Molly's. Another historical. Jeez. Next, we have... Oh, this is interesting. Next, we have a novel by Ted Decker. There's something about his premises that are really intriguing to me. And so this book is called Outlaw. This looks more like one of his fantasy novels, but let's see what it says. The story of how I, Julian Carter, and my precious 2-year-old son, Stephen, left Atlanta, Georgia, and found ourselves on a white sailboat, tossed about like a cork on a raging sea off of Australia's northern tip in 1963 is harrowing. But it pales in comparison to what happened deep in the jungle where I was taken as a slave by a savage tribe unknown to the world. Some places dwell in darkness so deep that even God seems to stay away. There my mind was torn in two by the gods of the earth. There one life ended and another could begin. Some will say I was a fool for making the choices I made, but they would have done the same. They too would have embraced death if they knew what I knew and saw through my eyes. My name is Julian, and this is my story. But more, it is the story of my son who was born to change the world. So this is, this has a supernatural aspect to it. I guess I wouldn't call it fantasy. Historical fiction with a supernatural twist or edge or what's happening here. Anyways, I'm excited to at least see an author that I recognize. I've never heard of the book Outlaw. I don't own it. But Ted Decker is someone that I find intriguing. So I'll probably at least hang on to this one and maybe see one day if I end up reading it. The next book is by Margaret Maron, a Deborah Knott mystery called Death's Half Acre. Here's the cover. This one says, as family-owned farms and lush fields in North Carolina's picturesque countryside start to give way to shoddy mansions and housing developments, discontent begins to rile the inhabitants of Judge Deborah Knott's beloved Colleton County. Beneath the surface of her seemingly peaceful town, a tide of corruption is rising, and even her strong-willed father might be led down a dark path. At the same time, the murder of a controversial high-profile woman commissioner pulls Deborah and her husband, Sheriff's Deputy Dwight Bryant, to this bit of... This is not going well. This is what happens when you buy mystery boxes of books off of eBay, apparently. You get... Anyway, I'm not gonna be insulting. The next book in the box is Moscow Sting. This is by Alex Dryden. This looks like a espionage type of thriller. When Finn, a former British spy, is poisoned by a Russian assassin, his ex-boss Adrian, the chief of MI6, wants vengeance. He also wants answers, information that only Finn's widow knows. But Anna, a former KGB colonel who betrayed her country for love, vanished with her child shortly after Finn's death. Adrian isn't the only one eager to find Anna. Finn accessed intelligence so sensitive that the KGB killed to protect it, and now Anna is in the KGB's crosshairs as the only person who knows the true identity of the Kremlin insider, super spy, and double agent called Mikhail. Good heavens. I got nothing. Like, I got nothing. Like, I don't know if this sounds intriguing to me or not. I do not like political espionage thrillers. I'm moving on. Moving on. Okay, the next book is I'm starting to get a little depressed. The next book is by Martha Grimes. It is called The Winds of Change. It is a Richard Jury mystery novel. It has a nice picture of Martha on the back. Declan Scott stood inside the room looking at Jury as if he were one more disappointment in a long list of them. Police, private investigators, all had failed to find the child Flora. Brian McElvey of the Devon and Cornwall Police takes this failure especially hard since he had headed up the investigation 3 years ago when Flora disappeared one day from the Lost Gardens of Helligan or somewhere. Scott's stepdaughter has vanished. His wife Mary has died. He really doesn't need a body in his garden, says McElvey as he looks down at why would you put part of the story in the blurb? Okay. This is a crime thriller, a serial crime thriller. This is not the first book. Obviously, I have no idea who Richard Jury is. I'm missing some context. Normally, I would not be opposed to reading a book like this. However, jumping into the middle of a series of crime thrillers is not my favorite thing to do. So, we're going to move on. There better be like a brilliant book hiding in the bottom of this thing. Oh, this one's does anybody know who that is? The answer would be Ted Bell. This book is called Spy. It just says a thriller. I've heard of Ted Bell, though I have not. Oh, this book was previously owned by Ashley, July 22nd, 2013. Hi, Ashley. I have not read Ted Bell. It says, in this relentlessly paced tale of international suspense, intrepid MI6 intelligence officer Alex Hawke confronts an evil like no other. Terror looms as a man works his dark magic in the heart of the Amazon and a nightmare erupts along the Mexican border, creating a deadly combination that threatens to bring America to its knees. So, again, an espionage thriller, but not as more interesting to me, just off the bat, that little blurb that I read, more interesting to me than something dealing with Russia and the KGB, etc. This is a story, sounds like takes place at least partially on our home turf, America, and I'm way more likely to read this book than most of the other books that I've come across so far in this box. Seal of Gaia. One of the most trusted men in the New Social Order's Steve Weston, international director of the Sky News Network, knew where he was going. His drive for power and prestige was his mistress, his first love, his constant companion. But having reached the pinnacle of his career, Steve stumbled upon facts about the global government that shoved him to the brink of a dark abyss, knowing with certainty that he would lose his life if he made one wrong move. Set in the future world of the 2030s. Seal of Gaia is the story of a man suddenly caught in the riptides of global intrigue, coming face to face with the dark realities of the oppressive government his life is dedicated to serving. When he learns of a sinister plot by the New Earth Federation to rid the world of 7 billion people, poor Steve, must decide whether to save his own career and life or find a way to warn the world of imminent danger. Oh, help me. Seal of Gaia is a chilling story of an all too possible end-time scenario filled with conspiracy, innocence, betrayal, and supernatural power. Now, I love an apocalyptic, dystopian end times story, but this one isn't piquing my interest much. Still better than some of the others in this box. Holy cow. Okay. That's just There's just so much wrong with this. Next we have The Deal by Joe Hutzko. The Deal is a real deal, a fun-to-read novel loaded with the inside knowledge of Silicon Valley. Meet Peter Jones, brilliant, mercurial. He changed the face of an industry and literally invented the portable computer. And Matthew Locke, quintessential company man and marketing genius, he reached the top of New York's corporate ladder while still in his 30s. Both are determined to control via Computer Inc., the portable computer company that Jones began in his college dorm, forged out of vision, and some say the company he is dangerously close to destroying. This book stinks. Not like bad stink, but it has a very strong, old, musty book smell, which, I mean, I like the smell of old books, but not to quite that extent. So, oh my God, this is a chunker. Huh. Now, actually, this is not upsetting. I am not upset by this. I'm not in love with this edition. However, this is a $28 book. The Complete Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. The only complete one-volume Sherlock Holmes. Probably not any longer. All 4 novels, all 56 adventures, over 500,000 copies sold. I just paid $20 for a complete Sherlock Holmes. That's what it comes down to. Because so far this is my favorite thing in the box. And it could potentially be the only thing about this box that I like. So yeah, this is exciting. Like, I'm being kind of a smartass in this video. But, you know, while this wouldn't be the prettiest volume of Sherlock Holmes, like this is a good place to start. My husband and I have toyed with buying a complete works of Sherlock Holmes, whether those are in separate volumes or all in one. So actually this is probably, I wouldn't have paid $20 for this. If I'm going to pay $20 for an entire thing, I'm going to like be attracted to the aesthetic of the book. But anyway, I'm going to place this over here because this is the best thing so far to be pulled from this box. Okay. Anne Perry. I feel as though I've heard of Anne Perry. This book is called Execution Dock. I can tell by the cover. Either this book is about a Renaissance painting or it's also historical. Newsflash. Let me catch you up. I don't like historical novels. This one also smells. An Execution Dock, Perry's first monk novel in 3 years. Okay, let's back up. Readers of Anne Perry's best-selling William Monk novels feel as if they've experienced the many shades of Victorian London. So this also is a book that contains a character who has appeared in other books. Okay, so in Execution Dock, Perry's first monk novel in 3 years, we find ourselves on the bustling docks along the River Thames. Here, the Empire's great merchant ships unload the treasures of the world, and here in dank and sinister alleys, sex merchants ply their lucrative trade. Okay, that escalated quickly. I didn't think it was going there. I always feel like my chair is sinking every time. See? Look. If you're new to this channel, I have a constant war with this chair. I get lower and lower and lower. See? This chair has seen a lot of gaming hours, folks. So, anyway. All right, sex merchants. The dreaded kingpin of this dark realm is Jericho Phillips. On his floating brothel, sex slaves are forced to endure unspeakable acts. Now one such soul, 13-year-old Fig, is found with his throat cut, his tortured body tossed into the river. What are we doing here, Anne Perry? Wow, let's just set this little thing right over there. Let's just set it right down there. Huh. The stunning adult fiction debut of best-selling author R.L. Stine. The book is called Superstitious. I've never read an R.L. Stine. I do have an R.L. Stine on my shelves, so interesting. Pages are stuck together. I'm going to go ahead and pretend that never happened. Where is my... Just get a little bit of Purell. Okay. Superstitious by R.L. Stine, 1995. On the small Pennsylvania college campus, Liam O'Connor cuts a dashing romantic figure. The Irish-born professor of folklore has good looks, a sweet charm, and a host of old-world superstitions, all of which dazzle beautiful graduate student Sarah Morgan. Plunging headlong into a sudden love affair, Sarah barely has time to notice the dark drama unfolding on the campus. 4 murders have been committed, each more gruesomely horrifying than the one before it. Suddenly, Sarah is receiving crank phone calls warning her to stay away from Liam, fearing her ex-boyfriend Chip's next angry outburst, wondering why Liam's unmarried sister Margaret is so suffocatingly close to them, and trying to escape the lecherous stares of her boss, Milton Cohen, the dean of students and the owner of a murderous-looking knife collection. When Liam proposes marriage, Sarah accepts, making love by the light of 16 candles, one of Liam's superstitions. For those of you who have never seen R.L. Stine gaze upon his... Anyways. Alright, pretty sure this book is from 1982. It is called Goodbye, Jeanette by Harold Robbins. I was wrong. This book is actually from 1981. Yeah, this has like... Whew. Harold Robbins is America's master storyteller. I've never heard of this person. What I do know is that he is not still America's master storyteller, and that with this book releasing in 1981, it was also being released in the early-ish days of King novels. I'm not sure who Harold Robbins is. Okay. His new novel, his most daring and ambitious to date, is set in the glittering world of haute couture. Spanning 2 generations, 2 continents, from the fear and corruption of occupied France to the glamour of jet-set society and international high fashion, Goodbye, Jeanette is a book of non-stop excitement. At its center are 3 women, as richly sensual and exciting as only Harold Robbins can create them. Tanya, whose instinct for survival has taken her from the sufferings of wartime Poland to the control of a vast fortune, and whose burning sexuality arouses in men passions she cannot control, and which eventually destroy her. Jeanette, Tanya's elder daughter, whose beauty and sensuality exceed even her mother's, and who survives a childhood scene of stark sexual terror and perversion to conquer the world of international fashion, famous, wealthy, successful, elegant, but never free of the past. And Lauren, Jeanette's half-sister, pursuing a liberated lifestyle whose beauty makes her the toast of the fashion world and draws her into the intrigue and cross-currents of a crime that was committed before she was born. Their story is told in a novel more daring, more shocking, more deeply erotic than anything Harold Robbins has written before. I'm frightened by that. Like, I feel as though this book may be the biggest setback to feminism ever. Oh, mercy. Double Barrel by Nicholas Freeling. This book is older than the... Oh my god. It's like... What in the world is happening right now? Can you hear all that? That is not the satisfying crackle of opening a brand new book for the first time. That is the death rattle of a book well past its time. Harper and Row Publishers of New York in 1964. Robert M. Coates says, I think the Nicholas Freeling book, Double Barrel, is swell. What is happening? This is insane. I'm just going to put these books back into the box and make my husband take them to the Salvation Army. Like, I mistakenly thought that the worst thing that could happen would be like a bunch of James Patterson novels that, I had no interest in, like, but that I'd at least heard of, or that at least people in this century had heard of. And, some I might be able to unhaul because they weren't exactly my taste. But this is not that. We have 4 more books. Irving Wallace, The Pigeon Project. This is like if I went to Goodwill or a thrift store here in the U.S. and I just randomly picked some hardcovers off the shelf and like threw them into a box and mailed them to you. That's pretty much what this is. The seller, however, kind of made it seem like he warehoused overstocked books of this century and would send them to you, 20 of them to you, that he needed to make room for more stock. Oh, Jesus. This is by Irving Wallace, who has an impressive list of published books. 1979 by Simon & Schuster. What would happen if every human being presently on Earth could live to the age of 150 or more? With this astonishing and absolutely convincing premise begins the new novel by Irving Wallace, his most original and breathtaking book to date. At the heart of the book lies the question of who will control this new substance, of whether it will be used for profit or for politics or for the good of humankind. But beyond even this question is the larger and more haunting issue of whether indeed the prolongation of human life on this scale will be a blessing or a curse for the human race. I will concede that is a rather interesting premise. Page 32. If there were only some way to be as free as those pigeons, some way to fly out of here to freedom, if there were only some way to get word of his captivity to the outside world, if there were some way to carry his cry for help out of here, to carry news of his plight, carrier pigeon, my God. He had cultivated the friendship of those damn pigeons on the window ledge, faithfully fed them twice a day, and now they owed him something. I don't even know how to pronounce this. Kalimsky Heights by Lionel Davison. Possibly better than any thriller written over the past 25 years. How does one not read that? I mean, imagine scientific knowledge that could change humanity forever, for better, for worse. Imagine the prize and the penalty for stealing and exposing that secret. Imagine Kalimsky Heights, a book as hard, cool, and brilliant as ice. The breathtaking return of a master thriller writer. Again, I've never heard of this person, Lionel Davison. The man who is quite simply the best thriller writer around has produced a triumph, a masterly piece of storytelling, possibly better than any thriller written over the past 25 years. Nobody alive can produce the combination of cerebral and gut thriller like Lionel Davison. Wow. If Steven Spielberg, Stanley Kubrick, and Alfred Hitchcock were to create a film together, the movie would be Kalimsky Heights. My God. I don't know who published this book. This book was published by St. Martin's, okay? I just want St. Martin's to know, dear St. Martin's, that back in 1994, you had quite possibly the most creative marketing individual, copywriter, and on staff. Like, I mean, I've seen some really excessive and extreme and boisterous claims before. This one has got to be give this copywriter an award or something. Like, If Steven Spielberg, Stanley Kubrick, and Alfred Hitchcock were to create a film together, the movie would be Kolimsky Heights. This book. By a man that I've never heard of, but is yet the best thriller writer around. And this book is better than any thriller written over the past 25 years. Who is saying these things? I don't even know what this is about. All right, second to last book, Glenn Beck. Heard of that guy? This video just has me all messed up. A plan to destroy America, 100 years in the making, is about to be unleashed. Can it be stopped? This is a political thriller. An unprecedented attack on U.S. soil shakes the country to the core and puts into motion a frightening plan, decades in the making, to transform America and demonize all those who stand in the way. Amidst the chaos, many don't know the difference between conspiracy theory and conspiracy fact, or more important, which side to fight for. Oh, God. Seriously. This is the last book. Yep, the last book. The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown. I mean, I don't think anything needs to be said about this. So guys, let's see. What did we learn today? We learned not to purchase undisclosed titles, regardless of price, from eBay. Wouldn't recommend doing this unless you truly are an open-minded reader, like a 100% open-minded reader. I am not an open-minded reader. I mean, I think that like 5 books at least were historical, which is not my cup of tea at all. Political thrillers, espionage, not my cup of tea at all. And I can't bring myself to read something that I'm like truly not interested in, because I don't actually love the act of reading. I love the feelings that I get from reading. So this was fun, right? This was what happens when you blindly spend your money on books? You don't get books that you want, obviously. I'm going to see if my husband wants this, the Da Vinci Code, because he's into themes and subject matter that the Da Vinci Code covers. I don't know if he's ever read it. So anyways, I'm going to see if he wants that. I'm also okay with having this complete Sherlock Holmes book. This is probably the best thing to come out. And there is that Ted Dekker novel, Outlaw, that maybe I'll do try a chapter. That's what I'll do. Content. I'll do a try a chapter tag for the 5 most interesting books that I received in this box. If I can find 5 interesting books that I received in this box. But that'll be a stretch. And we'll see what I think of those. So apparently there's going to be a part 2 to this video. Awesome. Stay tuned for part 2. Thank you for joining me for part 1. I hope you at least thought some of my reactions were funny. But thank you so much. I don't even know what to say. Don't buy mystery books off of eBay. Don't do it. And if you come across a seller of mystery books that actually is good, then by all means, share that information with me. But I've basically fallen on this grenade for you, and I can officially tell you that I do not recommend this process of buying a box of books that you don't know what is inside. Just, But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon.